Atlanta Dream in overtime, had to overcome a 16-point deficit.
Needed it.
To beat Atlanta in OT. This so that they could not have lost 2 games in a row. They were on a hot streak. We talked about this last week. They played Minnesota last Friday. They lose. The Lynx, the 3 seed right now. If the postseason started tomorrow, the Lynx and Fever will be playing each other in the postseason. I thought it would be a good measuring stick game for the Fever, who have been in fuego and beat really good teams in that stretch. But the Lynx are a team that many people believe can sneak up, not even sneak up, they're in the 3rd position, and win the WNBA championship with the Aces not looking the way that they were. Asia Wilson is a little bit banged up, while they say it's not serious. And even the Liberty, who are not playing their best despite still winning as well. So the question that our producers pose that I found to be a little laughable, love you guys, should we be worried that the Fever, after being as hot as they were, lost to the Lynx and then almost lost to the Atlanta Dream, a team that's sitting in 9th and just scraping and clawing to get into the postseason? And my answer would be no. No, they won. I mean, listen, the difference between a team that is showing maturity and growth, despite being young like the Fever are, is a team that, yes, did not start out very well, played with their food a little bit, found themselves in a big hole, and still found a way to dig themselves out of that and ultimately win the game. And more importantly, I think it was who factored so big in this game that is a big boon to the Indiana Fever. Because yes, Caitlin Clark, she gets 26 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, more history, becomes the first W rookie to play a full overtime game, 45 minutes since 1999. More history, 10 consecutive games now for Caitlin, hitting at least 3 shots from long distance, longest streak in history. She's now the 3rd player in W history to reach 300 assists in a season. The only ones that have done that, Alyssa Thomas, Courtney Vandersloot. More history, more history. But this, to me, is why you should feel good about that Dream game. Aaliyah Boston.
1 for 30.
A 30 ball,
career high.
11 of 16, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, first player in Fever history to hit that line, 30-10-5. As important as Kelsey Mitchell has been, as important as Lexi Hull finding a bit of a stroke to go along with her defense, as important as Alyssa Smith coming off the bench has been, they need Aaliyah Boston. That is the difference between maybe winning a first-round series and really making some noise.
Yeah.
And so if I am a Fever fan right now, yes, you know that against a better team, you cannot find yourself in a 16-point hole, but you've got to feel good about how they dug themselves out and who featured in the game.
I like the fact that actually they had to come up from a double-digit deficit at home against a team that's actually scarier in my estimation, because when you're desperate, you'll do anything. And the Dream are desperate with 5 games to play, and they're on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. I think they eventually sneak by the Sky are in an absolute tailspin right now, especially Angel Reese. She's done for the season. But the Dream are a desperate team, and when people get desperate, they will do anything. They will plow out all of the stops, and that's why we saw the Dream have a lead and play like their season depends on it, because it does. And it shows me that the Fever can ride both highs, right? Like when you're winning, you're good. Winning solves everything. When you have leads, you're Gucci. You ain't got to worry. Everybody could be laughing on the bench. But when you're in a tight game and you have to get puckered up, like that shows me that they can hang with teams in crunch time. And watching the game and doing the highlight on SportsCenter, the thing that should be scary for everybody else is how Aaliyah Boston is getting her points by way of Caitlin Clark. Because it's a pitcher and it's a catcher. It is a battery out there. They're running the high-low. They're running pick and rolls. And they are communicating without saying a word. They are communicating just innately. She's rolling off of screens. And every player that you mentioned, whether it's Vandersloot, whether it's Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell, they're all perimeter scorers. So if you have an inside-outside game in the playoffs and Aaliyah Boston's going for double-doubles, obviously not getting 30 every night. That's a career high for her. She's never done that. But now she has the right facilitators in place, clicking at the right time. That, again, it's not going to surprise me, the Fever winning a first-round series, even if it is against Nafisa Collier, who came on in the second half to lead the Lynx eventually to a win. This is a scary team right now that seem to me to be 5-tool players. They're a 5-tool team. They can pass. They can shoot. Okay, maybe defense is
not their strong suit.
Their
and turnovers. And Caitlin mentioned that too.
And before Elle gets, going with the turnovers, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say this. I did a whole segment on Aaliyah Boston. I'm listening to the interview today in the practice facility. Actually, I did one on Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. But since we're on Aaliyah Boston, let's go ahead and let's start with Aaliyah Boston, mentioning that she loves the fact that Caitlin Clark is running the offense. She wants to play fast. That's the type of pace Caitlin Clark and the Fever like to play, and that's where they've seen their success. So coming out of the break, all the team chemistry that was built through team activities, just time together, it was like a training camp for them all over again. They came out of the break and were clicking on all cylinders as a team, as a unit, defensively, hawking the ball, running out in transition, playing fast. I feel like these past couple games, we've been in some close games that I feel like we should not have been in close games. And that's because you got to look at how we're running the offense. The offense is, we're not running fast. We're not playing fast. I mean, we're getting it done. But I think they stressed the fact today and emphasized that they want to run. They want to play fast. They want to be at a pace to where the defense feels uncomfortable. So the question is, are we concerned? I'm not concerned. And as, stated, I think that they could beat anybody really in the playoffs, especially in the first round. What Caitlin Clark has brought to this team. And then as mentioned, you got the assets. You got Aaliyah Boston blooming right in front of our face, holding her own, being more aggressive. As she's been saying, she wants to dominate. We got Lexi Hall finding her shot. Shooting, 70% for three out of the break, I believe. Last time I checked, she's shooting amazingly from the three. She's not going to take too many, but she's shooting 4 for 5, 4 for 6. It's like, and then you got Kelsey Mitchell, a walking bucket herself. You match that with Caitlin Clark. And then you got AB. I don't see why these girls couldn't combine for 70 plus every night. Every night. So AB, what she did the other night, 30 big points, and then coming, she pretty much took over in overtime. Down late in the fourth in overtime. So I'm just excited for this team. A lot of people are going to say they're inexperienced. They're not going to have that playoff experience. I've been saying this, and I just said on my last show. They played in the biggest scenes out. So I'm not worried about the Fever. I think they got a legitimate chance. And we're going to see these next 2 games versus Aces. I think this is going to determine and really be an eye-opener for people. If they could play fast with the Aces, don't be surprised if they beat them back-to-back.
But they have an inside-outside presence,
Sure.
which is deadly, which can be so scary
Sure.
once you get into the second season.
It's interesting because when we did the national championship, Carolyn Peck, she did a tape breakdown of Caitlin Clark and at the time her big Hannah Stuelke. And she talked about how Caitlin is essentially Patrick Mahomes and that Hannah Stuelke is her Travis Kelce.
Sure.
Always finds her, always kind of knows where she is, has this great vision. And to this point on the Fever, we were waiting on Aaliyah to become Caitlin's Travis Kelce. Just reliable. You always know that no matter what, she's going to leak out, find a way to get the ball because Caitlin's going to find a way to get the ball to you. And we've started to see more of that from Aaliyah as the season's gone on, in particular after the Olympic break. But this was the game that showed how nasty this 1-2 punch can be, something that we were all salivating about, something that when we were sitting on the desk with Aaliyah Boston, during the national championship, we were like, girl, wait till those passes are coming to you, right? Like, so this is finally, I think we're seeing what could be between these two. Like I said, clean up the defense and clean up the turnovers, and this is a really good team. But you mentioned the Atlanta Dream battling it out with the Chicago Sky. They said a game back from the Sky, who despite missing Angel Reese, only one of, 2 double-digit scores on that team, and they're still winning games. Before we talk about the Sky, I do want to give a big shout out to Angel Reese, though. Her season ends earlier than we had hoped or expected, and certainly the timing's not great for a Chicago team that is still a playoff team right now. They would love to have, someone who's been historic in the post for them, but I hope she doesn't hang her head at all. An incredible season for her. There was a lot of question marks before she was drafted on just how her game would translate. And we knew that she'd get boards, but I don't think anybody thought she'd get them at this pace. And so she leaves this season, her rookie campaign. She probably won't get Rookie of the Year. That should go to Caitlin Clark, in my opinion. But man, she made it interesting. And I think that is a surprise in and of itself, that it was a very interesting conversation. Outside of that, history with the double-doubles, first player in league history to record 20 or more rebounds in consecutive games. She did that in 3 straight. And her 446 rebounds across 34 games, the most in W history ever. And honestly, her rebounding average is still on track to be the highest in a season. On top of that, culturally, right? Over
Yeah.
4 million followers on TikTok and on.
Bro, this had nothing to do with Angel Reese. One, I don't give a. Okay, here we go. Let me chill. You know, I read your guys' comments, and I really do appreciate you guys because there's times where I'm ready to crash out, especially with Elle. You know, there's a couple people. It's Elle. It's starting to be Gil now. Jason Whitlock. There's a couple people, man. You guys just got me on my edge sometimes. She's got 4.1 social media TikTok. Are they buying tickets to the game? Are they buying jerseys? Are they buying Wilson balls? Are they buying your Reebok shoes? Did they buy out the Reese's Pieces candies? I didn't hear nothing sold out. Did they buy the season tickets? Are they buying beers? Are they buying hot dogs? Merchandise? If not, then I don't want to hear about 4.1 million TikTok and you on there showing your face and your booty, and I don't want to see it. I want to see you in the lab getting the offensive skill set down. I don't want to see nothing else. I don't want to see you all up in my face with your lip gloss on. We love you. I love you. You know, historic year, but this had nothing to do with Angel Reese right now. And now it's like, I don't TikTok. We talking about TikTok? Social media followers? Like I said, if they don't contribute to the WNBA and buy anything, and they're not growing this game, I mean, cool.
On Instagram. She's at the Met Gala. She's hanging out with Meg Thee Stallion on stage. She's in music videos with Cardi B and Latto. Like, I just think it's an.
I'm sorry. So we're gonna continue to hype up Angel Reese because she's on stage with Latto at the Met Gala. And she's out with rappers and at concerts. As her offensive skill set is at a 20, a 10 max, we're congratulating her social media and what she's doing outside of the game of basketball. What is important right now, because she is a professional basketball player, we're congratulating her for being out with Latto. I can't do it. This is why people get on Elle. You were doing so good until you brought all of this into the show. I don't understand. You were having a great segment. You really were. And you just effed it up. Why, Elle? Why?
It was an amazing year for Angel. It certainly didn't end the way that she wanted. I'm sure she wanted to be able to compete for a chance in the postseason, but just an incredible year for her.
Next year, I think the conversation is going to get a little bit more snug in terms of a next wave and a new generation of bigs in the WNBA, because you got to imagine Camila Cardoso getting better, evolving right there on the same team. And I think a lot of the conversation next year is going to be, okay, can she be better than Cameron Brink when Cameron Brink returns from her injury, right? Like, this crop of rookies, we all assume will be much better next year, which is actually a pretty high bar because across the board, they've been setting records. And I think that competition will breed more of that. I think, though, that there are some obvious areas in her game that she needs to address. She said it herself. Who'd have thought my last made bucket was going to be a 3? I think that's just God's way of telling me, all right, this is going to be the new me next season. And I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
You think there's a playoff team, though?
The Sky, no.
So herky-jerky to me.
Yeah, I think that, again, I think it would be very difficult to compete in the playoffs when you have one double-digit score on your team. I mean, obviously, some points are going to have to come from somewhere. The next few games, Chicago plays Washington on Wednesday. Very winnable game. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Then the Lynx on Friday. Then the Mercury. And then they'll play Atlanta to close out the season, the team that they're competing with. The Dream have the Lynx, a tough game, but then they've got Washington and then Chicago. I think this is set up for the Dream.
Yep.
to find a way into the postseason. But I feel like Chicago's brass didn't think they were a playoff team, which is why they traded away Marina Mabrey.
They made moves to indicate, hey, we're in a rebuild anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I think if they are able to sneak in, I think that whoever ends up being in that 1 seed, more than likely the Liberty, are like, thank you. Because I think the Liberty don't feel strongly about playing the Dream or Chicago, whoever it is that they're going to get in that first. But it's going to be really interesting. I love that it's coming down to this. We've got 2 weeks left.
We're making excuses for the Sky. Why? So now the Sky went from playoff team to we're tanking. We're not making excuses. Marina Mabrey requested that trade. Let's not start with the excuses. They're in the playoffs right now. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, bro.
Left in the regular season, and it's coming down to the wire.
Okay, so real quick, because the Fever have 4 games left, 2 of which are against the Aces.
Okay.
MVP is a regular season award.
Oh God, it's a wrap. It's Gary. I
Rookie
know
of
that
the
you.
year is a wrap.
Rookie of the year is a wrap.
Rookie of the year is a
It's
wrap.
a wrap. It's a wrap, babe. And I think
MVP.
that like I know that you're enjoying this and you're having fun with this but I think any
They're actual
person,
questions.
any of the voters, any of the people who actually do this for a living, the one thing that you consistently see is, no, I'm talking about specifically cover the
Sure.
W.
Lock in.
They are consistently saying runaway MVP. Not even contested, arguably presumptive runaway. She's literally about, this is even with her being injured and not playing a game, she is literally about to have the best scoring season that we've ever seen in the WNBA in its infancy, since its infancy, ever. Score more points than anybody else per game ever. And again, is the only reason that this team is clinging to the spot. I thought that them playing the Liberty tough, I know that they don't believe in moral victories. They're a 2-time champ, but they played that team incredibly tough and overcame a big deficit themselves without Asia Wilson. Maybe that's what they needed. Maybe they needed to show themselves like, we can do this, right? Like if we can almost do this against the top team without Asia, we can certainly do it with her. We've got to be able to help her out more. So I'm not sleeping on the Aces, but no, Gary, in my opinion, and I would say in the opinion of 90%, of the WNBA talking heads, not the ones on social, not just Caitlin Clark fans, would tell you that it is Asia. And if it's not Asia, it's Nafisa. And if it's not Nafisa, then it would be Caitlin. Or maybe even you'd throw Stewie in there.
Okay. Hey, listen, a month ago, we breached the topic and people thought we were crazy. And then Caitlin Clark turned on and turned up. And now all of a sudden, she would be, in your estimation, a top 3 MVP vote getter.
Sure.
And hey, to that point with the Aces, they better play well without Asia Wilson, because they got a handful of gold medalist, Olympians, all-stars, and future Hall of Famers on that team.
Sure.
To which the Fever have none of that stuff.
Okay.
And they're still a playoff team.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that's the truth right there. Look, I don't know if Asia's going to be playing. My thing with the Fever versus the Aces, well, first off, I don't think the MVP talk is over. Elle, she wants to shut it down so quickly. I really don't think it's over. Odds don't say that, and I'm an odds guy. I'm a numbers guy. So I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to say she is the MVP, but I'm definitely not going to say that it's for sure over. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say Asia Wilson doesn't deserve it, but there's certain things that we can't control. Caitlin Clark can easily win this MVP race. You have no idea how money works. You have no idea how the business works, how the value of the business works. Don't trust me. So don't be surprised. It may not be fair. Call it what you want. Caitlin Clark might win MVP. I'm just letting you know. Now, as far as the Aces go, I think the Fever come out and play fast. They're going to have a mismatch on the court if Chelsea Gray's on that court. She can't keep up with Mitchell or Clark or Lexi Hall. So I don't know who or how she's going to play, but I guarantee you she will get exposed as far as speed and endurance, because she could barely run right now. She's not going to be able to keep up with Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, or Lexi Hall. I think today actually, I think the Fever, they take this game. I truly think so. If you get production from Aaliyah Boston, if you get production from Temi, Nalissa Smith, the whole crew, I'm talking about solid production. I'm talking about defense. I'm talking about aggression. I'm talking about running in transition, limiting turnovers, rebounding. Indiana Fever win this game for sure. So I'm just excited to watch it. You know, we got a big slate today. As far as the whole Elle Duncan thing, bringing up certain people in the show when the question was about the fever, she's got to stop doing that. She's got to stop doing that. So, and as my man said, I like how he brought up a point. I'm gonna like to see how Angel falls in the group when Cameron Brinks is back, and some of the other, you know, bigs and things like that. How is she gonna fall into that category? So, in Cordoso, we know Camilla's gonna get better. I think Camilla is way better than Angel Reese right now offensively. Angel Reese, nobody's out rebounding her right now. Nobody. She's got a motor on her. Nobody's out rebounding Angel Reese right now in the WNBA. Trust me. But look, man, it's your boy C.O. Khan. If you have not, make sure you guys check us out at Game Day Network. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to catch you guys on the next video. Let me know what you guys think about this show. We out.